how's it going today? It is a beautiful sunny day in Vancouver. It's a Monday. I'm totally thinking that it's a Sunday because we usually go live on Sundays. And I'm like, no, wait. No, we're starting to do this during the week now because it's summer and everybody wants to be out enjoying the summer weather, including us. I'm taking my weekends off and not working on clients on the weekend so I can actually go out. Saturdays, you guys saw, it was Hats Off Day. It's actually, Hats Off Day is awesome. Burnaby actually shuts down the main street, which is called Hastings Street, and all of the businesses come out and they hire street performers and all sorts of cool stuff, and it's kind of their way of saying thank you for, you know, us giving them business. And what's really interesting is that street there, because there's so much traffic, it's not really a street that you would typically just walk. Okay. So when it's closed and you actually get to walk down that street one day out of the year, I actually find you connect more with the businesses and what's going on that street and stuff, and it's kind of cool to walk on a street one day out of the year that's got incredibly high traffic and is really quite loud.
Otherwise it'd be a
exactly.
A road line.
And what's cool, every single year at Hats Off Day, there is not one but two Elvises.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
one of them I
funny.
know, and the other one is an Asian.
Oh, he's fake, obviously.
Oh.
The other guy. The one you know.
The one I know is the real Elvis.
Yeah,
the other
Elvis,
guy's fake because he's an Asian Elvis, and I'm pretty sure Elvis, not racist or anything, but I'm pretty sure Elvis wasn't Asian, so it's quite fun actually.
That's fun.
They have a car show, and so next week we have something called Italian Days, which is on Commercial Drive, same thing. Shut down all of Commercial Drive and it's a street party. Then the weekend after that, it's Car-Free Days, and they shut down Commercial Drive, Main Street. So we've got all these street parties going on, so I'm like, forget it. I'm taking the weekends off. I'm gonna go have fun and enjoy all the street parties. And I'm sure wherever you guys are, you probably have similar festivals and all sorts of cool stuff. So you don't want to listen to us yakking about glutathione on a Sunday when you could be out having fun. So we decided to switch it up and do it on a Monday. So how's your week been? How are you doing?
Awesome. I heard a rumor that immunity was being shipped out today.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I know.
So no more green boxes.
No more
They're going to be purple!
It's going to be a purple box. Yeah. They go with purple, everything here. But yeah, so I heard that immunity was being shipped out today. It's going to be in people's hands.
Exciting.
So actually what I kind of was thinking we'd do today is, I get this question a lot. So I want to talk about, here's the question I get. How much glutathione is in immunity? People ask me that because they're
that question makes sense.
That makes sense, right?
It does, yeah.
Because this had a certain, like on the formula here it said, right? Wellness blend, 570 milligrams, L-glutathione, blah, 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 blah. So they're saying to me, you know, how much glutathione is in immunity? And the answer is none.
None.
No glutathione.
We took the glutathione out.
Yeah. We took it out for a good reason. In March of 2016, I was at a conference in New York, and at that conference I met amazing researchers, amazing people from around the world who have researched glutathione literally all their lives. So I've been doing this for about a decade. They've been doing it for almost as long as I am old. At least the one researcher, he's in his 90s.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Very cool guy, by the way, and he's very healthy. And his research, he's not doing as much as he used to because he's 95 this year. So his youngest son is taking over. He's only 70. So he's taking over his dad's research. Kind of cool, right?
Only 70.
He's only 70.
Wow, hopefully he has a son.
Yeah. So there is no glutathione, and there's a really particular reason why we made this change, and it was because I went to New York and I learned about something called, are you ready for this? I'm
not ready for this.
I know you're not. So this is a very big word, okay?
Okay.
Vestigiality.
Vestigiality. Vestigiality. I said it, yay!
Vestigiality. So, I don't know, you might want to look that one up. Vestigiality. Vestigiality is a process whereby there's a gradient that goes around every cell in your body. There's a pressure gradient, otherwise your cells would be flat.
Yeah.
So there has to be a push out from inside the cell to keep the cell a cell. There's a pressure gradient, and when things come to the membrane of the cell, they actually have to overcome that pressure gradient or surface tension. People would be used to that. If you put something in water, it's powder, it's lighter than water, the surface tension will not allow it to immediately drop into the water. It has to maybe sit and be absorbed. Same thing happens at the cellular level. We have a surface tension at the cellular level, and it's really there to protect the cell from things, going inside. Now, one of the challenges with a lot of poisons, like gasoline, things like that, is they're very soluble in fat, and because our cell membrane has fat in it, they are absorbed very quickly. So even though it was designed to protect us many years ago, many centuries ago,
yeah,
it wasn't designed to protect us from petroleum products and drugs or petroleum
those
products.
didn't exist.
They didn't exist, no.
Not in nature.
But when
it existed in nature, we just weren't doing anything with it yet.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was all there. We just
weren't consuming it.
We weren't consuming it. So you have to overcome. So when you give glutathione, this is one of the things I learned. When you give glutathione, as a whole molecule, so a pre-made molecule, when it comes in, it runs into this resistance at the cellular level. Now, people do different things to it. So the fermented glutathione, the cetria, sometimes acyl glutathione, which is actually a drug form of glutathione.
Oh.
It's like N-acetylcysteine, right? They've made it into a drug.
Okay.
Those are fat soluble, so they will pass through the cell, but that's still glutathione that is not natural to your body. Now, your body can use it. I want you to know. So even this product here, people had great results with that because your body could use that glutathione. But this process of vestigiality is your body saying, hey, listen, if you're going to make that for me, whatever it is, if you're going to make that for me, then I'm going to shut down the natural process by which you make a thing. So it's actually a loss in the production over time of something that can be very important. Of course, we know that we can't live without glutathione.
Yep.
So as soon as I discovered that, there was a better way to actually have the cells manufacture their own glutathione. I went back to Ryan, the MPG and COO at BSI. It's the most popular guy, in case you didn't know what MPG was.
MPG. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I said, listen, this is what I've discovered, this is what this research, and all the researchers were talking, and not only were they talking about it, actually a group of researchers and doctors were petitioning, they were starting a petition, and they were going to petition the FDA to take optimizing glutathione using precursor amino acids from being an alternative therapy and make it a medical protocol.
I totally agree.
Absolutely, it should be. It should be, because it doesn't interfere. This is the thing, when you put a molecule like a glutathione...
No, it does exactly the opposite.
Right. Exactly. When you put a molecule like glutathione into the bloodstream, if you have something in the bloodstream, like chemotherapy or other drugs or something else, the glutathione will react with that. It will reduce, so it can reduce the effectiveness of, say, chemotherapy, or it can interfere with other things. When you use what nature is using, that interference doesn't exist because there's nothing in the bloodstream to cause that. So it literally allows the cell to act normally. It just increases the ability of the cell to be normal. It actually allows the cell to live longer. And we know that in autoimmune diseases and inflammatory diseases, one of the challenges is our cells are not living healthily and as long. So we're having to produce more cells, like red blood cells or whatever. We're having to produce more of them because they're not living out their 90 or 120 or 180 or 360 days or whatever the normal lifespan of a cell is. They're actually dying sooner than that. That in itself creates more inflammation.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated process. So that's what we did. So we said, listen, this is what nature does. Nature literally has a mechanism whereby there's no resistance at the cell wall to these amino acids coming in, and it triggers two enzymes, and those enzymes cause immediate production of glutathione inside the cell. So this is much more efficient. There's no resistance to it. Also, giving glutathione, or this vestigiality, over a long period of time, what that will do is actually when your body needs a lot of glutathione to, say, fight a toxin or to fight a stressor, like an infection or whatever, if you've been replacing your glutathione with molecular glutathione, it has to somehow kick this back into motion. And really, the only way you can actually adequately fight those is pump your body full of molecular glutathione, which then starts this process even faster. So you get to the point where your body literally will not recognize the glutathione you're putting in it. So, if you're going to a doctor right now and you're taking glutathione injections, they don't give them to you daily.
No.
It's like weekly.
Yeah, it's once a week usually.
Weekly or sometimes monthly. And the reason for that is this cellular resistance. If they did it every day, you would quickly build up cellular resistance to the glutathione injections. Also, so that your glutathione really wouldn't work. So this is why I'm so excited about this, is because we're following what nature does. We're not interfering with the natural process. We're literally following what nature does. Nature takes amino acids. There's no resistance at the cell level. They are absorbed immediately, and your body makes glutathione. And as we know, glutathione is coincident with life. So back in 1888, when they discovered glutathione, the people who discovered it said, we literally could not have life on this planet, maybe on another planet, I'm not sure. Haven't checked that out. But we can't have life on this planet, in this environment, without the presence of glutathione. It doesn't exist. So that's at plant level, that's at bacterial level. Bacteria can't exist without glutathione. So single-cell organisms can't exist without glutathione. So it's coincident with life. And how nature has done that all the time, down through the ages, is harvest these amino acids from somewhere and allow the cell to make glutathione. So so there is no glutathione in immunity, just so you know. So if you're looking for, does it have 200 milligrams, 250 milligrams? No, it does not. But it has a lot of amino acids in there. It has a significant portion of amino acids to make a lot of glutathione. Now we know that to have an immunological effect, in other words, to have an impact on your immune system, you need to make at least 200 milligrams of glutathione. So
a day?
In a dose, right? To have an impact. You're going to take a dose. So if you think about this, people go buy cheap glutathione at the store. They buy capsules of glutathione, 500 milligram capsules of glutathione.
$9.99.
Yeah, $9.99 or $19.99. So research tells it that those capsules are only 10 to 14% absorbable. So if I find a 500 milligram capsule, 10% of that is 50 milligrams. It takes 200 milligrams to have an immunological response. So you would have to take 4 of those at a given time to even stimulate an immunological response. So if you're buying glutathione capsules, 250 milligrams, 500 milligrams, even 1,000 milligrams, you're not getting an immunological response from that.
But that doesn't also factor in how your body is responding to the glutathione as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So, in a lab, reduced glutathione works really well because you can control the factors. But in our life, I was going to say our life is totally out of control. The process of living is completely different than the laboratory setting. There's lots of things that work in a lab that don't necessarily work out here in our laboratory called life. And glutathione is one of those. So this is, so $25 million was actually spent on these ingredients and comparing it to like N-acetylcysteine or other methods by which for years people have raised glutathione in the body. And when you give the amino acids in the right proportion or in a ratio, a specific ratio, it actually can be 2.5 times more potent than just raising one amino acid. So people give cysteine or N-acetylcysteine. They give some kind of, try to get cysteine into the body because the theory is there's lots of glutamine in our food, there's lots of glycine in our food, so if you just put cysteine in there, right? So that's like, that's kind of like baking a cake. That's like kind of having all the ingredients on your stove and saying, oh, we just need some baking soda and we'll raise this cake. So we'll just chuck some baking soda in there and hopefully we'll get a cake out of that. It's kind of the same thing. So, yeah, so this is really important. So we put the right ratio of amino acids in there. I can assure you that there's lots in there. There's way more than 200 milligrams.
Can I OD on amino acids?
Certain ones, but not no, your body...
That's a question that both of us get asked a lot, though. Is there, like, what happens, like, can I take too much? Or, like, what happens when I'm taking, like, more than what my body needs to make glutathione?
This is a really cool thing. So when you're giving glutathione, you can get too much glutathione and you cause this vestigiality, you cause this reduction, you cause this situation where the body actually rejects the glutathione that's coming in. It recognizes that a foreign molecule and gets rid of it. And so when you're taking amino acids, though, once again, there's no resistance at the cell level because the purpose of a cell is to make protein. And protein is made with amino acids.
Yep.
So if you've optimized your glutathione inside the cell,
Yep.
those amino acids will get used to make protein.
Yeah.
Other proteins, or if they're not immediately required, your body has a very specific process by which it gets rid of amino acids out into the gut, out into the intestinal tract. And so that's one of the things I love about this, because we're working with nature and how nature does it. We can optimize the glutathione inside the cell. If we have extra amino acids, they can go into protein production. If we're not necessarily, but every cell produces protein, so that's where they usually go. But if we had, an extra amount of some amino acid, it will get excreted. It'll just get pushed out of the body, out into the blood.
Okay, here's another fun question. Are there any side effects?
There's one huge side effect.
And what's that?
Good living. Feeling good.
Now this is the thing, this is interesting because Alan and I were having this conversation yesterday because some brilliant man a little while ago did a video about side effects. And what created a massive light bulb moment that I think everybody on the planet should know is that there is no such thing as a side effect.
Right.
Everything is an effect. And what's really important to understand is that these are amino acids. They're the building blocks of the body. So when it goes into the body, you don't know what it's going to do with it. It really is about what your body needs at the time.
Yeah.
It's going to send it where it needs it. So for me, because our glutathione is unique to each individual, it's going to be utilized in whatever it is that the body is needing in that particular moment. So there's no such thing as side effects. This isn't a drug. It's amino acids, and that's something that we get asked a lot because I feel like there is that kind of mindset of, that maybe it's a drug and there's going to be some side effects or anything like that. This is amino acids, and everything else that's in the product as well is what your body needs. It's vitamins, it's nutrients, it's minerals. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get effects, and the only effects that you're going to get are going to be beneficial. It's basically like when you take a chicken breast and you eat that, your body's not eating and using a chicken breast. It's tearing it apart and it's taking the amino acids out of it. It's taking the vitamins and nutrients out of it, just like all the other food that you eat, and it utilizes it where it needs it, right? If your eyeballs need some amino acids, that's where it goes. If your hair needs some amino acids, your skin, your organs, it goes to where it needs it. So think of it that way. This is going to do exactly the same thing, and it's going to be positive effects, and it's going to be utilized wherever it is that you need it most, because your body is just that brilliant.
It is.
Right?
It is. Can I tell you something really cool?
Yes.
There's so many cool things I could tell you.
I was going to say, did you forget your cool thing? Okay, what cool thing?
Well, we're talking about there's no such thing as side effects. There's just effects.
Yeah.
And side effects is a term that was invented by the drug industry.
Absolutely.
Right. So that you could say, well, those are just like the idea is just to pass them off as being something that's not really that important. whatever. Just
It doesn't actually really happen.
Yeah, just because you're
one of those
having
things
muscle
that
aches and
might
pains and you might be
happen.
having fatigue and headache, you know, the thing is we're lowering your cholesterol. And so it's really kind of odd how we've allowed ourselves to become insensitive to this idea. But I understand why people ask if there's side effects, because even with herbal medicines, St. John wort and some other things, there actually is a point where you can take too much of some herbal medicines and actually have, and it's not a side effect, once again, it's an effect that's not good for you.
Yeah.
Right? So I understand why people are asking, and I appreciate they're asking. But
it's really important to clarify that this isn't a natural medicine. This is amino acids.
That's right.
Which is very different from a plant. I mean, you of all people have more knowledge, I think, than a lot of the people out there, because the school that you did, you learned how to make the medicine.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that was so cool. Anyway, another cool thing is that in 2013 here in Canada, they did a research project. Well, in 2013 they announced the results, so it was 5 years. It started prior to that. Started in 2008, and in 2013 they released the results. And what they were trying to figure out is why do we have all these elder diseases of the elderly? So, we think of Alzheimer's, we think of dementias, we think of mobility issues, generally Parkinson's. Old people can be very young and still get Parkinson's. But we kind of classify a lot of things as diseases of age. They come about because you're old, and
yeah, absolutely.
In our society, it's kind of like the longer you live, it's sort of like, well, what's going to take you out? Like, what are you going to get? And I love the thing that they just did with Dick Van Dyke and Mel Brooks and all those old guys. They're all in their 90s, and they just did a nice little piece on them and how they're dancing and singing and doing their thing. It's really cool. But they did the study, and what they showed was that all of these things that we fear about the future, losing our mind, losing our mobility, all those things, there's over 60 of those illnesses that are actually protein deficiencies. So when we're talking about amino acids, right? Our body doesn't use protein for anything but supplying amino acids. So, and if you look at the diet of people as they get older, they tend not to eat as much protein.
Yeah.
They tend to eat more carbohydrates. So bread, you might have an egg, but they tend to eat bread, maybe a bit of vegetables, a little fruit. I mean, they eat less for starters. But if you're an elderly person living on your own, you're not going to cook a roast. You're not going to do that. So, most of the protein that we eat is really inconvenient for an older person to actually prepare and consume. So one of the recommendations of this study was that doctors who are dealing with geriatric clients would recommend that they take a daily protein supplement. Do you want to know which one?
Which one?
Collagen.
Oh, shocker.
Shocker, yeah. Collagen protein, yes. Collagen protein is the one that we need to take. Why? Because collagen is reparative. So if you think about an elderly person, how do we know a person's old?
They have wrinkles.
They have wrinkles.
They have gray hair.
They have gray hair.
Some of their eyes start to turn white. They start to shrink.
They start to shrink. Yeah, definitely start to shrink. Mobility. Lose their mobility.
Their eyesight.
Hey, Grandpa, can you go for a walk? No, I don't think so.
They get grandpa brows. They start to get creatures that grow.
They do. Grandpa brows. I'm in line for grandpa brows. I can already tell. But yeah, so we look at these things. So lack of cognition or reduced cognition, reduced mobility, right? The wrinkling of our skin, the discoloration of our hair and our skin, all of those things are signs of aging. And so there's two things in our body that actually our body is short of, which are at the root of the aging process, which is reduction in collagen protein, production and utilization, reduction in glutathione, production and utilization. So both of those things are reduced about the same time in our life, and isn't it interesting, we're now going back working backwards, working from the elderly, working backwards and saying, oh gosh, we should have been elevating or optimizing their glutathione. Well, we should have been optimizing their collagen protein. We should have been doing that for years. If we had been doing that, they might not be in the condition that they are right now.
Totally.
So that's that's really new to medicine. But that's what this study showed. 2013, that study came out, is that we really need to pay attention to how much protein that we're consuming, how many amino acids, and of course hydrolyzed collagen protein, enzyme hydrolyzed collagen protein. I think there's an article in one of the magazines like Shape or Now or something like that, talking about how collagen protein is that protein of the future and whatever. We've been talking about it for what, 3 years, 4 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
Quite a while. But yeah, collagen protein, we used to use it medicinally, we used to use it all the time. People that have surgery, they automatically get collagen protein. And back when I was doing my geriatric practice, that was just a thing. Like it wasn't even a question. It'd be like, oh, so-and-so's having a knee replacement. Okay, well, make sure they're getting 20 grams of collagen protein a day. Now people don't even think about it. It's not done, I don't think, any longer. But it was just,
that's really tragic.
Back in my day, it was a thing. You just get collagen protein. Why? Because it's reparative. And
the dentists use them too when they pull a tooth or something like that. They'll pack it full of collagen.
Yeah. And it became, collagen just became a cosmetic, got to have collagen in all our skin creams and whatever, whether it's effective or not. So that's really cool. So that's another cool fact, that now research is showing us that the amino acids we're talking about not only are important, they're critical. They're critical to our to our well-being and how we're going to develop and face the future as the years tick by. So those are cool facts.
And I think that's really important to really understand is the big difference between the molecular glutathione that was in the Vera, which I want to remind you guys is absolutely perfect the way that it was for the knowledge that was going on in science for the time, until we discovered that there was new information to say that the best way to optimize the glutathione in your system is to give it the amino acid so that it can create it itself, because the information came down the pipeline that the body actually creates its own unique glutathione and it's different for each individual person. So understanding that was why we orchestrated having this new ingredient, these amino acids being put in immunity, which is so incredibly exciting. So once you guys have the opportunity to get your hands on this and try it, and experience the difference for yourself in how it makes you feel, taking the precursor amino acids versus taking the glutathione, it's like the molecular glutathione is good, but then you get the precursor amino acids into the body, and it's like amazing. Yeah.
Well, here's another question we get asked, or I get asked, and I'm sure you get asked too, is, okay, so we got the amino acids, how quickly is it going to work?
Yep, you're totally right. That's a question we get asked a lot as well.
Yeah.
How does it make it through the stomach acids?
How does it make it? Yeah, well, here's the really cool thing, is the amino acids are absorbable right from your oral cavity. They're what's called interstitial, so that means inside the tissue. Yeah. Just to simplify that. So they can actually be absorbed right here, the amino acids. So every cell in your body has the ability to manufacture glutathione, optimize its level, and then send glutathione out into the bloodstream. Okay, I want to make this really clear. So it's not like, okay, just a minute, I got to get all these amino acids to every one of my 1 trillion cells in my body to manufacture glutathione, right?
Yeah.
Every cell in the body has the ability to manufacture glutathione. So you get glutathione in, you have it right at the cell level. Those cells begin immediately producing glutathione, which goes right into your bloodstream, and it can be utilized by all 1 trillion cells. That's why you need like 200 milligrams of glutathione to have an immunological impact, right?
Yeah.
So
but it doesn't have to flow through the whole body. It doesn't have to go down into the stomach and deal with the stomach acids or any of that. Because people just are thinking of it more like a capsule or something, or somehow it has to go into the stomach and it has to be digested and then processed and then sent to wherever it's supposed to go.
Which you know, it makes perfect sense from that standpoint. Because we're not used to that. We're not used to just having something like you're sucking on the halls right now. Well, the reason you suck on it is because you want the activity here, right, in your throat. You're not thinking about, gee, I hope that helps my knee.
Yeah.
But this is a really cool thing. So it takes, here's how long it takes, right? These cells here can start making glutathione. Every cell in the body has the ability to produce glutathione inside itself, put it out into the bloodstream. So it takes about 3 or 4 heartbeats to start getting that effect out into your whole body. So I don't know if your heart's beating 80 times a minute or whatever. It's not going to take
a
few seconds. So literally a few seconds to get this effect to be felt throughout the body. So it's really cool that way, right? I think this is it's really awesome. When I was sitting, I just have to picture myself sitting back there in New York in this room with these people, and this one gentleman starts to speak, and the whole room goes quiet. It's like, I don't know, anyway, it was like he was a prophet. But he was so respected by the other researchers that were there. When he started to speak, everybody just, even the wait staff, all of a sudden, everybody was just quiet. And he started to speak about this process by which our body regulates and produces and controls glutathione and how important it is. And it's just like, wow, it's kind of, it's one of those moments when you're like, holy moly, like, it was just such an amazing thing to think. You said our body's smart. Our cells are smart. Our body's smart. And it's so complicated how the process works. You can't hardly explain it. But it's so simple to the body. Right? So our brain is struggling with the fact we put these amino acids in there, which triggers an enzymatic response, which does this, which does that, blah, 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 blah. And we're trying to figure all that, thinking, well, if we could just, trace that down and prove it, right? Because science loves the burden of proof. Medicine loves the burden of proof. Lots of times I'll have a doctor say to me, well, do you have any clinical trials? What's the proof? And I love to say to them, I'm just too nice, I guess, sometimes.
All the time.
There's 2,500 protocols for treating disease. So if you go to the hospital, go to your doctor, it's imperative that they get a diagnosis. Because every diagnosis has a treatment protocol, one or maybe several protocols. If a doctor can give you a protocol treatment, in other words, that's an agreed upon group of drugs, maybe surgery, maybe chemotherapy, it's an agreed upon systematic treatment of that illness, their liability is zero if something happens to you. So it's imperative they get a diagnosis, so they give you a protocol treatment. So there's 2,500 protocol treatments about that. It's a big book.
Yeah.
It's big. Do you know how many of those have ever been clinically tried?
How many of them?
Yeah, out of the 2,500 protocols, how many have ever gone to an actual... So we say that if you have a certain disease, then we're going to give you these 7 drugs, and...
I'd like to put all of my trust in the medical system and say every single one of them.
Well, that's what people do. That's exactly what they do, not knowing that only 4% of those 2,500 protocols have ever been through a clinical trial.
Wow.
4%.
That's insane.
So, it's called a medical practice for a reason.
Haha, they're practicing on us. Yay!
It's theoretical. Like what we do in medicine is we research something down, we isolate this thing, and we say, okay, now we have to find something that does that exact, or affects that exact process at the expense of any other process. We don't look at how many other processes it's having an effect on in the body, which is why it has side effects, which are just effects. But let's just take a painkiller.
Yep. Okay?
We have a pain, right? How does aspirin know you have a headache? It doesn't. right? It goes and it blocks a pain pathway in your body. So it desensitizes this pathway, so the pain's in your toe or your knee or your wherever, and your body's trying to send neurochemicals up your brain saying, ouch, and aspirin goes in and blocks that chemical from happening. So then you're desensitized to pain. So
Yeah.
it's not that the thing has gone away, it's just you're desensitized.
You just don't feel it.
You don't feel it, right? And with many drugs, that's really literally what we do, is we take and we block a pathway. So in the production of cholesterol, for instance, we block a pathway to the production of cholesterol, saying if we lower cholesterol in your body, that's going to be really healthy, not thinking that when we lower cholesterol in your bloodstream, we're lowering cholesterol in your brain, and cholesterol is necessary for the manufacture of neurotransmitters in your brain. So we don't look and we go, oh wow, look at that, we've got his cholesterol lowered in his blood, he's not going to have a heart attack maybe, but your brain is now suffering because it's not getting enough cholesterol to make neurotransmitters.
Yeah, and that's not, we've learned that, actually it was really interesting because I was listening to something, was it yesterday, this new app. It actually takes, thousands of books and then takes the most pertinent points in the books and turns it into a 15-minute broadcast. It's really spectacular.
Yeah.
But it was talking about how cholesterol has been looked at as a negative thing. However, athletes are able to use cholesterol to be able to build lean muscle. So I thought it was really fascinating because that's something that most people don't think of, because cholesterol in general has been given a bad name or a bad rep, and really it shouldn't.
So cholesterol in the body is really a signal of inflammation, right? So I could have high cholesterol, even though I'm quite slim and trim and whatever, I could have high cholesterol. So what my body is trying to tell me is, oh no, there's something going on in there.
Yeah.
Right? So it uses cholesterol to do that. There's something going on in your blood. So it's like, this is the only way that the body can respond to tell you, no, I actually have normal cholesterol. So, but it's a way for your body to give you a message to say you need to look at something. So medicine looked at, well, look at all the fat people are eating. No wonder their cholesterol is up. And it took years to actually, I don't even know if a lot of doctors understand it yet, that dietary fat does not correspond to the level of cholesterol in the body. Right? So they look at people that are overweight and all that, and they go, you know what, we need to take all the fat out of your diet. No, we need to take all the sugar out of your diet. We actually need to keep some fat in there and allow your body to burn that fat and allow the body to burn the fat that you have. But that was a big mistake many, many years ago when everything was going to be fat-free this, fat-free that. If you look at, when I went to university, all the diseases that we deal with in children today were almost non-existent back in the late 70s, early 80s when I was in school. We didn't have ADHD. We didn't have children like that. We didn't have autism. We didn't have ADHD. If it was extremely rare.
Yeah.
We didn't even study it in school. It was so rare. And there was no drugs for it back then. So we've seen an explosion in that. And what happened when I was back in school is we thought all fat was bad. We took the fat out of food. And we caused an incredible amount of damage to humankind by taking fat out of food, by incorrectly identifying fat as the offender. So, but anyway, that's another topic.
That whole thing was orchestrated as a result of the fact that there was a study done in 1979 that was saying that sugar was actually what was causing the inflammation, and then the corporations were like, actually, let's make fat the culprit.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of people that were going to have, issues because they were sugar manufacturers.
Yeah.
So there was actually something that came to mind that you had mentioned was the instance where you actually went in to go see your doctor, and they looked at you, and you were completely healthy.
Oh, it's so fun.
And then the guy who was with him, the doctor, was like, well, what do we do?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, in a case like this,
yeah,
what we want to do
is
give him something. Yes.
So my last checkup, I go in, my cholesterol's normal, everything about me is like within the prescribed ranges. So he has an intern, or a resident, sorry, it was a resident, not an intern, it was a resident. He has a resident there, and the resident's doing my workup and whatever, and then he comes in and checks his work, and he's like, this guy's really healthy, right? What do we do? And my doctor literally said, well, in a case like this, so I was already a case.
Yeah.
I was a case of health. That's a really bad thing, right?
Yeah.
I was a case of health. So in a case like this, what we want to do is we want to give him some drugs to keep him healthy. That was his answer. Okay, so I'm not taking drugs to maintain my health right now, but, you know, their idea was that I needed to go on some hormone shots and I needed some different things so that I would be able to stay healthy. And my response to my doctor was, why don't I just keep doing what I'm doing? Right?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm really healthy, I'm 64 years old, my cholesterol's normal, you know, my inflammatory marker, by the way, hardly even showed up on the test. It barely showed up on the test. So I have no inflammation going on that would lead to cardiovascular accident or anything. I have zero. They've actually never seen it that low. He's like looking at it, he's like, I have never seen a 64-year-old that has 0.3 CRP. I've never seen that before.
I don't understand. So what we need to do is intervene.
Yep, we need to intervene. Yeah. Right, he's looking at all these results. We've never seen this stuff.
The reaction is what gets me more than anything. What do we do? He's healthy. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, what are we gonna do? He has to leave her with a prescription for something.
This isn't like I don't. And you would think the reaction would be, okay, Alan, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
We need to create more of this. Let's figure out what he's doing.
Yeah. So what's really amazing is they started talking like I wasn't in the room.
Yeah, of course.
So they're talking back and forth, and he's like. And, well, you know, what we need to do is we need to put him on human growth hormone. We'll give him a shot right now. So he actually gave me a shot of human growth hormone with, like, I'm sitting...
Without your permission?
Yeah, like, they're talking about me like I'm not there, and he gives me a shot, and he's like, there,
Here you go, human pincushion.
Yeah, here you go. Have one of these. I'm like, what the heck's, like, what's going on here? And then he gives me a prescription for it. It's, like, amazing. It's over $600 for this prescription.
Like per shot, right?
I was supposed to go buy some needles. No, not per shot, but it's over $300. I think for the last 2 months. But I was supposed to go buy some needles and drop a little bit and give myself a shot only every second day, though.
Oh.
I gave myself
so you
a shot
only have to poke
daily,
yourself every second day.
Yeah. It was so... I was actually... People would get mad, maybe, but I was actually quite amused at this whole thing with these people that were fumbling around with this guy who's healthy and we need to do this.
People are giving angry faces. Just so you know, there's some angry faces going on there. I completely understand it. When he told me this, you guys, I was angry too. I was like, what the, like, seriously?
Seriously.
How is that the reaction?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's healthy. What do we do?
What do? Give him a needle.
They should be putting him in a lab and studying him like they did E.T. because it's so rare to find somebody that's his age that's that healthy. But instead, they just pumped him full of drugs.
Yeah.
Human growth hormones, I have a problem with that in general. I mean, because human growth hormones...
We just talked about vestigiality.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
We just talked about that. I said that to my doctor, like, why would I ever do this? That's, like, there's other things I would do. Take amino acids to raise my human growth hormone.
Yeah.
Right? You can do that.
There's natural ways to do
There's
it.
a clear amino acid pathway to raising human growth hormone, which we might talk about sometime. But there's a clear amino acid pathway for that. Why wouldn't I just do that? And why would I ever want to put that in and cause vestigiality?
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense.
It was really...
And when you're growing one thing, would it not make sense that if there's something that's undesirable in your body, that it might grow that too? Like, is there differentiation?
Well, the challenge with HGH, of course, when you take that, you can't give blood ever again. So
really?
Somebody who goes on an HGH diet, or HCG, whatever they want to call it, human gonadotropin, you can't give blood any longer, right? So that's one drawback. So I couldn't give blood.
Wow.
You're messing with your hormones, like seriously, dude. Why are we doing this?
There's some serious damage that can be done as well. Like one of my friends, when she was younger and trying to get pregnant, she essentially was given drugs to force menopause. To kind of restart her system, and she went through a series. I guess it was about 7 years she was taking drugs, and they were experimenting with her and doing all sorts of stuff. And now that she's in her 50s, she's dealing with the side effects of all that stuff that she was trying to do, you know, and it's absolutely ridiculous. We don't think about what it is that we're doing to mess with our hormones when we're younger and how it's going to cause problems as we're older. And then when the hormones do start to go sideways, when they start to dip, because you get that big dip between like 35 and 50, it starts to really drop. Then we go and we trust the doctors and that they're going to have the cure. But then we had, when was it? You probably know better than I do, but there was a time when women were being given estrogen, and then there was a mass spike in women being diagnosed with breast cancer. Mm-hmm. One woman I know survived it, thank goodness, but it happened actually to a couple of women that I knew, and they're in their 60s now, and they're good. And now it's like we're in a position where we have to learn how to age gracefully. I like to call it aging smart. You want to assist your hormones so that you can go through the transitions in life as, you know, gracefully as possible. But we want to also own the fact that this is a fact of life. We are going to age. Anti-aging, the whole movement of anti-aging, some big, huge manufacturer was the one who came up with that term in the first place. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You can't age backwards. So whoever came up with that idea is putting an idea in our head that we can reverse the aging process, and that isn't a thing. You can slow down the aging process, you can age gracefully, I like to call it age smart, but you most definitely cannot anti-age. Again, it's the same thing as, you know, someone coming up with a term like side effects, right?
Yeah, it's, you know, here's my thing. You know, I've been studying amino acids now for 15 years because they're so important. And we were discovering more and more about amino. There's 20 of them. There's 20 amino acids. We have 70,000 proteins in our body. We'll just wrap up with this. 20 amino acids, 70,000 at a minimum. Some people have more. You can have up to 90,000 proteins in your body.
No big deal.
No big deal. Amino acids themselves have individual activity. When they combine together, like glutathione, that has a specific activity. When they combine together like insulin, that has a specific activity. So really, when it all comes down to this, like, let's look at how the body does things. How does it, why does it drop off its estrogen production? Why does it drop off these things? Why is it doing it earlier than ever? We're having menopause in girls that are hardly out of their 30s.
Yeah.
Right? Why all of a sudden are these things happening so early in life? Why are we aging so quickly? And what can we do to assist the body? I'm just going to say to get back to running at its optimum. And like you're saying, it's not like I'm not going to be 90 years old, and I'm probably not going to be doing some of the things I'm doing today at 90. Who knows? But how do we do that so that we're still living life and having fun and enjoying it? And like Dick Van Dyke said on his thing, like I wake up with a song every morning, and he sings and he dances every morning, and that's Mel Brooks gets up and tells jokes, and so
awesome.
It's so awesome, right? So how do we? And they they're in their 90s, and they don't look 50.
No, no, exactly.
They look old or older. And they're very happy with it. And that one gentleman was there, I can't remember his name, but he was a producer that worked with Dick Van Dyke. And, he's 95, he's writing a book.
Nice.
Right? So, and he said, like the key to aging smart and living a long and productive life is always have something to do. Like, if you don't have anything to get up for the next morning, you'll die in your sleep. Right? And if you think about that, there's lots of people who have a career, they retire, they die soon after that, nothing to get up for but golf or whatever. I'm not against golf, don't get me wrong, don't throw clubs at me. But, it's just an activity a repetitive activity that some people that enjoy. But it's the fact that you don't have anything to stimulate your brain.
Yes. Right?
That's the real key to living, to me, is living a long life, doing something you love, getting up in the morning, have something that you need to do, that you're looking forward to doing. My father-in-law is turning 90 this year. He gets up every morning, he's up early, he goes to the farm, he gets on a tractor, or he gets in a truck, or he gets on a lawnmower, but there's something he needs to do every day, next day, even in the wintertime. He hopes it snows so he can get out and get on that snow blower or run the tractor and whatever. Like he's just looking forward to the next day. He's never bored about it, right? And so he's just excited that, you know, like, it's going to snow tomorrow. Great! You know, I get to go outside, run my... Anyway.
Andrea Poffel said, healthy doesn't make money.
That's true, Andrea. You are right. So.
And it's totally true. Unfortunately, our health system is very much focused on sickness care, not health care, and that's something that we've talked about as well. And Mary Austin made a really good point, and she said, interesting, since you were so sick years ago.
Yeah.
So you've clearly done something right when you struggled with something that literally could have taken your life.
Yeah, so I was very close to death. I knew that. I knew I was dying, actually, and I actually said goodbye to my family several times. 5 that I remember, maybe might have been more, but I said to Donna, I'm sorry, you know, I'm not going to make it. I'm leaving with 2 little kids. I'm really sorry, but I don't know what to do. And, you know, neither did the medical profession. They didn't know what to do either. I was just so sick with this mutant viral infection that I had. And to discover that really all I needed to do was optimize my glutathione, right?
Your body's ability to heal itself.
And nobody in the medical profession knew that, and if they knew it, they probably wouldn't tell me.
No.
Right? That's the worst part. Like, even my doctor, when I became healthy again, and said to him, do you want to know what I did? He said, no. And I said, why not? And he says,
what?
This is true. This is not the doctor I have now, but the doctor at the time. I said, you want to know what I did to get where I am? He's like, nope, I don't want to know. I said, why? He says, because I can't tell anybody anyway.
My doctor was gracious enough to at least say yes when I said, do you want to know what I did?
Oh, that's cool. No, he was like, no.
And then she said, the thing that made me the most angry, though, was she was like, oh, that makes sense. I was like, what do you mean that makes sense?
Yeah, well, if it makes sense, why don't you tell me?
But it's true, because they're not allowed to, not allowed to tell
it's
you
illegal.
that stuff.
In the province I live in, and I'm sure in other provinces and maybe in some of the states, it's illegal for a doctor to promote a natural health product.
Yeah, that's just...
Anyway, let's end on that.
That's why I would, you know, just highly recommend going to a naturopath or something like that, you know what I mean? Because they're going to promote health, they're not going to try to prescribe a drug. And, you know, because it's true, like, you don't make, or they don't make money off of us being healthy. Emergency medicine has its place.
Absolutely.
Doctors and the knowledge that they have has their place.
When you break your arm, you want a good doc.
Go see a doctor.
You want a good doctor when you break your arm, break your leg. Mary Austin just had a break, and she's used glutathione and collagen.
Oh, Mary Austin, I want your testimonial.
Yeah.
When you're fully healed, because the speed at which you're able to heal this broken arm at the age that you are is absolutely freaking miraculous. Like, from start to finish, I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how long it takes with the extreme break that you actually have. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So we're going to get your testimonial on video.
So one other thing, I know we need to wrap up here. There's one other thing I want to say about amino acids, though, and steroids and hormones and all that kind of stuff. You know, Darren Grosnick, good friend of mine, natural bodybuilder, never touched steroids, never done any of that stuff. He's 50, he's in his 50s, he's still building his body, he's still working out, he's looking really good, still putting on lean muscle. He is living proof that our body will be the best it can possibly be when we give it the nutrition that it needs. I'm living proof of that. When you give the body these simple amino acids that it can take and it can make into stuff that repairs, rejuvenates, regenerates, restores, that's exactly what it wants to do. So, you know, that's what this is all about. That's why we made the change in immunity, is to give you the amino acids to follow what the body does by nature. And the more often we can do that, collagen protein does that, the more often we can do that, first of all, the better results we get, and the longer those results remain a part of our body, remain part of our life. So what a great deal. We're just in such an awesome time right now.
Kenneth said, with VSI, healthy makes money. So that's really cool. It is really smart to be aligned with companies that are more focused on creating healthy, people instead of the other way around. So it just popped into my head because we were discussing this yesterday when we were hanging out, and I really would like to discuss this more, the two of us with you guys. Next week when we see you guys, we're going to talk about, specifically about emotions and how it affects your physicality from a scientific standpoint.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's going to
Absolutely.
be really, really awesome. So thank you so much for joining us, you guys. This is going to be our new time until the weather starts to get gross again, and it doesn't matter what day it is. So we're going to be seeing you again next Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to message us, and we will get back to you. If you have any specific requests about any specific ingredients that are in the immunity that you want us to talk about, or questions that you want us to answer so that you can share the message and help educate other people out there in the field, we're more than happy to support you. Have a fantastic evening, guys, and we'll see you again soon. Bye!